My wife and I are traveling the world to find the best place to live. Somewhere affordable is high on our list of requirements. So when we traveled to the US, Canada, and Mexico in May of 2024, we compared prices at Costco from each country to see whether there was a big difference in prices, and if so, where was the lowest. Now to make my comparisons equal, I've included sales tax and converted all prices to US dollars, because that is where most of our viewers are from. So anytime I give a price, it will be in US dollars. I also converted kilograms to pounds and liters to gallons. Locations and exchange rates are detailed in the video description. So why Costco? With minimal markups of just 14% over cost, an excellent return policy, and industry-leading employee pay, Costco is the place to shop. Plus, with a staggering 132 million members and 878 warehouses worldwide, we know we are far from being the only fans. If you have a Costco membership, you can shop at any Costco worldwide. Just beware that in Canada they only take MasterCard, while in the US they only take Visa. In Mexico they have one price for people paying with cash or a debit card, and one for people using a credit card. So are prices at Costco lower in the US, Canada, or in Mexico? Did I ever guess wrong? I'll show you the prices on some popular items. And at the end of the video, I will give you the grand total of the items I looked at to see where prices are lowest overall. Throughout the video, I'll also throw in some interesting facts about Costco and cool items unique to each country. Let's kick this off with toilet paper, Costco's best-selling item. In fact, they sell over 1 billion rolls of toilet paper per year. The best deal is in Canada at $17.73. Mexico is 35% higher at $23.90, and the US is in the middle at $21.19. Now I thought the significant differences may be because of the sales tax, but all three countries charge sales tax on toilet paper, even though none of them charge tax on basic groceries. One thing I like about Mexico is that the prices shown in the store include all the taxes. With their sales tax at a whopping 16%, I can understand why. In Ontario, Canada, most non-grocery items add a 13% sales tax when you check out. In Michigan, the sales tax was 6%, also added at checkout. From toilet paper, let's move on to gas. Although we are big proponents of taking public transit, gas is a big budget item for most people. One thing people loved about buying gas from Costco in Mexico is that you can pump your own instead of using an attendant. With all of the gas scams in Mexico, I agree with that. See my video on Tulum if you want to know more about how we were scammed. Gas is 70% more expensive in Mexico than it is in the US, which is only $3.18 a gallon. Canada was in the middle. Lower prices in the US will be no surprise to my Canadian viewers, as crossing the border to the US to fill up is a given. Now one interesting thing we've noticed is that Costco's in Canada and Mexico are far more crowded compared to the US. Even on busy shopping days like Christmas Eve, US stores remain relatively calm compared to a Costco on a Saturday in Canada. Also, Costco food courts are legendary for their bargain prices. All locations have pizza and hot dogs. Unique items offered include churros in Mexico and poutine in Canada. In case you don't know, poutine is French fries with cheese curds drenched in gravy. Another bestseller is the rotisserie chicken. In fact, in 2023, they sold 137 million of them worldwide. In the US, the price has been kept at only $4.99 plus tax, selling it as a loss to get people in the door. Prices are 35% more in Mexico and 25% higher in Canada, though still both an amazing price. On to the dairy section. Even milk prices are 51% higher in Mexico, where it is sold unrefrigerated in cartons. And did you know that in Ontario, Canada, most milk is sold in bags? In the US, it is sold in refrigerated plastic jugs. Another thing Canadians rave about on Facebook is the Tillamook medium cheddar cheese sold in the US for $8.99. I couldn't find the same brand in Canada or Mexico, but a cheese almost the same weight in Mexico was double the price. The price in Canada for a cheddar cheese was just a bit higher than the US. People also rave about Costco's Kirkland Signature grass-fed salted butter, which sells for $9.99. It was hard to find comparable butters in Canada and Mexico. So let's talk about produce. Since Mexico exports a lot of produce, I thought for sure their prices would be lower. But surprisingly, that isn't always the case. Despite Mexico producing 80% of the avocados for the US, there are a few cents less in the US and a few cents more in Canada. All three countries were selling the Hass variety. We were able to find many other varieties for sale in markets in Mexico, including this one, where you eat the skin. Unfortunately, as the avocado consumption has surged in the US and Canada, cartels have moved into Mexico to control this lucrative trade. There are a lot of good podcasts and YouTube videos about efforts being made to improve things. However, as avocado sales support a lot of Mexican families, I'm not sure that boycotting them is the answer. I was also surprised that bananas are 45% more expensive in Mexico than they are in Canada, even though they are grown in Mexico. Interestingly, we could only find organic bananas in Canada. Other grocery items. Canada is famous for its maple syrup. In fact, Canada produces 85% of the world's maple syrup. The prices are close in Canada and the US, with Mexico being just 12% more. Another top seller, where Canada is most affordable, is the Kirkland Signature Organic Extra Virgin Olive Oil. The price in Mexico is 10% more. Once again, as Mexico is one of the largest producers of vanilla, I was shocked that it costs more than double the price in the US. I also noticed that the first ingredient on the Canadian vanilla was water, but on the Mexican and US bottles, it just says vanilla bean extracts and water. I suspect they are all the same, but the difference is because of Canadian labeling laws. In the US, jasmine rice comes in this 25-pound sack for $17.99. The bags in Canada and Mexico are smaller, but after doing the math, the same volume in Canada is 10% more, and in Mexico, it is 32% more expensive. If you think that's nuts, did you know that eating a handful of nuts a day can increase your lifespan by 2 years? It's hard to beat Costco for buying nuts like walnuts. With their fast turnover at Costco, you know they're fresh and the prices are amazing compared to grocery stores. Now the bags are huge, but just keep extras in the freezer. It is hard to find peanut butter for sale in Mexico. I wonder why it hasn't caught on there. It is hard to beat Costco for best prices for peanut butter, and they make it with Valencia peanuts. Peanut butter was unsurprisingly the most expensive in Mexico at 19% more than in the US. It cost less in Canada, but they weren't organic like the ones sold in the US and Mexico. And if you love to make smoothies, you'll love the Kirkland Frozen 3-Berry Blend. At only $10.99 for a huge bag in the US, it's 25% more in Canada and a whopping 60% more in Mexico. On to eyeglasses. Consumer Reports named Costco the best place to buy eyeglasses, and I agree. If your glasses need tightening, you can just drop into any Costco and have them fixed for free. Also, you can have new lenses added to your Costco frames when your prescription changes, saving the price of buying new frames. Costco has a smaller selection of frames, but for many popular brands such as Oakley and Ray-Ban. Lenses for my glasses were lowest in the US and highest in Canada at 30% more. It was hard to find the exact same frame to compare, but prices seemed similar. Let's talk clothing. Costco is a great place to buy the basics. Kirkland crewneck t-shirts are for sale in Canada and the US only in medium, large, and extra large. Only Mexico had the small size. Prices in Canada were the lowest at $18.14 and a whopping 65% more in Mexico at almost $30. The perfect match for those t-shirts are the Levi's 505 regular fit jeans. It's the classic straight leg style with nothing flashy. They seem to be a staple in the US and Mexico Costco's, and I have seen them occasionally in Canada, but when available there, they have the best price at only $31.34. They are 53% more in Mexico, the most expensive place. Electronics. If you're an Apple fan like I am, you will love that Costco not only beats the prices at the Apple Store, they also extend the warranty protection in Canada and the States, have a great return policy, and have lower prices on subscriptions. The Apple Watch Series 9 and the iPad Air were both the best price in the US. As for AirPods, the best price was still the US, with Mexico being 40% more expensive, and they were even an earlier version. The one thing that was less expensive in Canada, though, were the Apple AirTags, which were 4% less than in the US. When looking at the electronics, I also noticed another difference. In Mexico, they have armed guards in the stores. Alcohol. Canadians will be very jealous of the alcohol prices in Mexico and the US. In Canada, alcohol sales are banned in Costco except in the provinces of Alberta and Quebec, and even then it isn't all types. For comparison's sake, I used prices from Ontario's liquor stores, which are called LCBO. In the US, the types of alcohol Costco can sell vary by state. However, most states allow the sale of beer and wine, and many, like Florida, offer a full range including beer, wine, and liquor. Costco carries a variety of highly rated labels and signature brands. Many people swear by Costco for buying their alcohol. For example, a huge 1.75-liter bottle of Kirkland's Irish Cream sells in the US for $25.75, while in Canada it costs more than double the price. For an even better deal, head to Mexico where the same bottle is about $20. Costco is one of the largest wine retailers in the US with a markup of about 14%, significantly lower than other retailers who mark up their wines by 25 to 50%. In Ontario, the LCBO marks up wines by over 100%. Another popular favorite is Costco's signature Champagne Prosecco. In the US, a bottle sells for only $8.47 and $7.73 in Mexico. A similar bottle sells at a liquor store in Canada for over 50% more. Surprisingly, tequila, made in Mexico from hand-picked agave plants, is cheaper in the US at about $37. And in Mexico it costs $11 more, and in Canada the price is even higher. For those cutting back on alcohol or calories, Costco sparkling water is a great option at a low price. With 0 calories and exciting flavors like lime, orange mango, and black raspberry, it's no surprise that sparkling water sales have exploded. Kirkland's sparkling water is only 33 cents per can in the US, 46 cents in Mexico, and 55 cents a bottle in Canada. Special items. As promised, here are a few special items unique to each country. In Canada, you can buy a large bag of cheddar cheese curds if you're making your own poutine. Hockey enthusiasts can find Bauer hockey sticks conveniently located near the 18-inch ergonomic snow shovels. For larger snow drifts, a Yardmaster snowblower is perfect for clearing your driveway quickly. And after spending time in the cold, you'll appreciate an Aero bar or a coffee crisp from multi-pack containing 18 full-size bars. Did you know that Costco sells caskets online? The US and Canadian Costco websites offer different styles and brands. In the US, many caskets are available for as low as $1,150. On the Canadian site, there's even a solid mahogany cherry finish casket priced at just under $3,000. As for Mexico, it enacted a law that requires warning labels on fronts of processed foods that contain excess sodium, sugar, saturated fat, and calories. You simply can't miss seeing the octagon-shaped black labels on the packages. It really makes you think twice before buying. Also in Mexico, you'll find dried hibiscus, which is used in many dishes here and has a lot of health benefits. And they also sell prickly pear. It can be eaten raw or added to dishes like tacos, salsa, and salads. And finally, only in Mexico can you find red velvet cake cereal. What a perfect excuse to eat cake for breakfast. So where are prices lowest? Drum roll please. If you've watched my video to here, it will probably come as no surprise. The US is the most affordable by a landslide, and Mexico is the most expensive. Overall prices were 14% higher in Canada and 22% higher in Mexico compared to the US. That shocked me, because I always thought Mexico was less expensive as the wages there are so much lower. I also compared the Costco prices to the prices in more local stores and markets in Mexico, and usually found that Costco prices were lower. Or perhaps I was charged tourist prices, like the time I got my hair cut and they doubled the price mid-cut as they said it was so thick. Once again, exchange rates and prices are constantly changing, so be sure to do your own comparison. And if you want to save even more money, you should shop in a US state that doesn't have any sales tax, such as Oregon or New Hampshire. Also, if you're a Canadian going down south to shop, be sure to check Canada Border Services online to confirm the amount you're allowed to bring back. If you like to save money, Check out my other video on the Affordable City Showdown, or check out my playlist on places that can make a great place to live. We have videos on towns in Mexico, the US, and in Canada. See the links in the description. And please be sure to subscribe so you don't miss our next video as we continue to search for the best place to live.